So I am extremely proud of this incredible group of artists who have spent the last 9 months, 10 months of their lives with us here in Zygote Press. We're so grateful to them for sharing their creativity, their spirit, their imagination, for allowing us to learn from them, and for sharing their lives with us. So thank you. You're going to get to meet each of them in person and to hear from each of them in person. But I just wanted to say that. And of course, we're excited to go into our 5th year of the Proof Fellowship. If you don't know about the Proof Fellowship, the amazing Michael Whitehead, who is our residency manager and shop manager, is the person behind the program. He is the one who picked it up from a fledgling baby and grew it into this wonderful, let's call it young adult, and just continues to improve on the fellowship every year, and brings all of his printmaking passion and expertise to the program. So if you have questions about the program, there are flyers. If you know about the program and you know how amazing it is, please feel free to pick up one of the flyers in the front and share it with your community, and invite people to apply. We are currently accepting applications for next year's cohort, and the application deadline is this Sunday. So if you know people who might be interested in this, please do share that information with them. We also, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I'm standing here and just do a couple of plugs here. We just announced our spring-summer semester of our workshops. So please pick up a card that looks like this in front if you're interested in learning a new printmaking process, or if you're not a printmaker and you want to venture into printmaking. There are all kinds of different classes and workshops, and this year, for the first time, thanks to Chandler, our amazing program manager, we are going to have a weekend printmaking retreat. So you can do a deep dive and spend the whole weekend just printmaking and hanging out with us. What would be more fun than that? Yeah. So you can pick up one of these and get more information about that. Of course, please support the arts. You know what's happening in the arts right now. So support our artists, buy some art. And when you do that, you support the artists, you support the arts organizations that support the artists. We have art here, we have amazing art on the walls. If your walls are full of art already, become a member. Your membership with Zygote Press, which is called Arts Pass, extends to Spaces, Praxis Fiber Workshop, and the Morgan Conservatory. So it's really a great deal for $50 a year. Or you can just drop a few dollars in the box right there. whatever works best for you. But thank you all for being here. Now I'd like to introduce you to the wonderful Cleveland writer, poet, advocate, and all-around amazing person, Kortney Morrow, who is going to be moderating today's talk with all of our artists. So please give Kortney a big hand.
Jackie, that was a beautiful introduction to a sort of multi-month period of art making and creativity, and I'm so excited to be in conversation with each and every one of you. I'm sure certain folks in the room have seen the show. Other folks probably have not seen it yet. So maybe if we could just go down the line and each of you could just share your name, a little bit about who you are, and a few words you want to share about your body of work in the show. Whoever wants to start.
That's fine. My name is Ryan Harris. The work that I contributed to this as one of the Proof Fellows is this wall here. When I came into this residency, I already had began kind of dabbling in printmaking, and my kind of primary medium is photography. And with all of the megapixels and sitting behind a computer, I wanted to do more with my hands, so I started kind of merging my work with mixed media. This was really kind of a platform that allowed me to take it a lot further, learn a lot more techniques, learn new techniques that I wasn't familiar with. As you'll see, a lot of this is screen printing, which was what I was naturally drawn to, but just mixing different elements. One of my favorite pieces on the bottom was a lino cut that I actually made with my daughter here. We cut it together, and then we actually were in this studio together, kind of using the, what is it called, Mike? I can't remember.
The roller?
The roller, yeah, using the roller to actually make it. So that was like something I will never forget. And just a lot of this just speaks to community. I wanted to have a cohesive body of work, and I can go so many different directions with a lot of this stuff. And I think that was one of the most challenging things for me, is not just having a bunch of cool stuff, but actually telling a story. A lot of this work speaks to my childhood, and that house up there is my grandmother's home that actually no longer stands. I took that picture, I think, in 2020. So just tying a lot of these elements together for me has been super therapeutic. And yeah, that's me.
Work.
Okay, so I'm John. My work is on the back wall here to the right, the red and black prints. For me, I'm currently like a software designer, but my background was in painting and drawing, and I never got to take printmaking in college or in grad school. So this was really kind of like a coming home moment to that. I got to feel like I was like 17 again, looking at lithograph stones. But a lot of my work was really just focused on the monotype and printmaking techniques through screen printing as well. I was really interested in exploring textures and line. What else? Is that enough?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, that's it for me.
Hi, my name is Thao Nguyen. I'm an illustrator and designer, and I was drawn to this residency because most of my work is primarily digital, and I really wanted to get back into the labor-intensive type of work. So my work is behind here, and it's a mixture of lithography and monoprinting. It was a very intensive process, but I really loved the journey, and I learned so much from it.
All right, my name is Anastasia Malone. My work is right there, the black and white and the brown. My work was really just like an ode to my family and my ancestry. And it was also alchemized. I alchemized during the process of making it. So I would say ancestry is one word, family is another, and alchemy is what my work is. Okay.
My name is Leila. I am a multidisciplinary artist. I primarily work in sculpture, architectural design, scenic design, and through this fellowship I was really excited to A, learn printmaking techniques with having no prior background, and B, figure out how I could apply some of those principles to sculpture. So my work is on this wall over there where Jackie is standing. Sorry. And that is a series of ceramic sculptures and CNC routed wooden stamps, which we will get into. And yeah.
My name's R.A. Washington, or Rafiq, or don't call me late for dinner. That's my stuff right there, and it's kind of scattered around this whole part of the gallery. I got another piece on that wall. I got a little sculpture thing in that little corner, that little crevice. And I make in a variety of mediums. I started out as a poet, and I've always been enamored with paper. So this was a way to extend that practice of poetry and texture and message making, placards, the tradition of like letterpress as a political weapon. All these kind of thoughts were happening when I got involved in the Proof Fellowship. Plus, I like to get involved. So, like, if you got something to do, I'm trying to join it, and that's just pretty much how I rock. Yeah, my work is just an extension of something I call Black Death Science. And Black Death Science is a philosophy of sampling and using Western concepts and undermining them. So anytime I can undermine some shit that white folks thinks is precious, I really love doing that. Yeah.
Thank you all for sharing that. I feel like one of the special things about this show is that there's so much cohesion. Every single artist in the show has obviously their own perspective, their own lens. But when it's all in a room together, there's just this beautiful cohesion with themes and also a true dedication to craft, which can be hard. And I want to talk a little bit about what it was like learning different processes and techniques, because I'm not a printmaker, but from my understanding, printmaking is very technical. And it also is a sort of reversal in your brain. So the things that you would naturally do, you have to kind of invert it in order for it to work. And for those that don't know about the fellowship, it's 9 months, and it's essentially designed to teach a variety of printmaking techniques. So you heard screen printing, letterpress, litho, RISO. So you all were really in the studio together truly for 9 months, learning, creating, crafting, experimenting. I want to do like a whip around quick one of like, what were you naturally gravitating towards in terms of technique? And what was like the one form or technique that you were like, I'm good on that?
Yeah, sure.
Whoever wants to go can just pop.
Well, there's one thing we gotta do that I think we all can agree on, is Michael, as an instructor and the running of the residency.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Just I never really liked my teachers. I love this man. He's such a good instructor. He pushes you where you need to be pushed. He is not one of those kind of people that is gonna engage with your idea and make it their own. They're gonna engage with your idea and ask you how they can help you achieve the idea. And that kind of ran throughout the residency with the other instructors, particularly Wendy, who did the monoprinting and the pressure printing and a letterpress, and Brittany did letterpress. Like that, the way that Michael operated kind of set the tone for how all our professors were, all our instructors were. So yeah, I just want to give everybody a shout out on that tip.
Woo!
But yeah, so to answer your question, I really just got into the letterpress. It really spoke to me. I love screen printing as well, and like seeing which ways you can break the form of it. But it was really important to like concentrate on how to do it properly, and it, like that's the cool thing about the residency is like there's really some technical things that you start to wonder about that kind of like get you going. So yeah, but it was letterpress for me for sure.
I'll piggyback on what Ari said. The one technique that I did not know anything about that I gravitated towards to a lot was letterpress. A lot of those photos up there, or I won't even call them photos, but works, mixed screen printing, which naturally I already knew a lot about and wanted to elevate with the letterpress. That was something I wish I had more time to spend with, and that's the one thing that I really liked. Totally honest, the one I did not like was probably lithography. It was so tedious and time consuming. And the one thing that I made, exactly like you said, it's kind of reverse. It was backwards. I'm like, I can't even use this. Like, so that was the one where I'm like, it just felt like it was Stone Age, but I appreciated all of these. And I'm sorry, you did great with this. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, to go off that, I think it's interesting because like we come into this kind of knowing what we're going to learn or like what the workshops are going to be. So based off that, I was like, okay, I'm really excited about like lithography, for example, was something that I had always wanted to do, especially with the background in drawing. And then we started it, and I was like, I don't know. So I think it's really interesting to kind of figure out, you know, what you're excited about versus like maybe like what you actually tend to be good at or what you enjoy more. I think the monotype really felt more like home comparatively. So that's kind of what I stuck with. But also, as your ideas develop, you kind of learn like, okay, well, based on this, what I learned last week might be the best way to do this. So it's kind of taking what you want and then understanding all the practices and methods to really determine what's the best thing or what do I actually need to do.
I think it makes sense that all of us gravitated towards letterpress just because we have several poets in the group. Everyone here is like exquisite with their words and has great taste in music. So I feel like that definitely translated into what we did with the letterpress. And I agree, it takes an extremely analytical mind to do. So etching was a full-blown chemistry class. And as someone who cries doing math, that was tough. But we still made it happen.
I was naturally drawn to lithography because of the drawing process and doing it at such a large scale. Because I was so used to doing things on a smaller scale, I really wanted to challenge myself. And I think because I knew that in the end, I think it would be worth it, like the challenge.
Nowhere running.
Okay, so the technique that I felt more that I gravitated to, I want to say it was relief printing. I was really excited to learn about it, and then but I didn't really use it in the sense. I ended up doing monoprints and collagraphs and screen printing. But the one that I did not like, child, it was etching. I cannot draw. Oh my gosh, I cannot draw. So I'm like, how the hell am I gonna make this happen? But I did one because I wanted to just try things to see if I could do it so I could like push myself. And I actually did something really cool with it. And it was that and then lithography. Lithography it's a process and you think you have to do it this traditional way, but instead I just greased up some braids, put it on the plate, and did the whole shenanigan with the process, and I ended up getting the one at the top out of it. But that was a one and done. I won't do that again. Yeah.
I loved hearing about the experimentation and the gravitation towards certain forms, but then also realizing actually for what you're trying to do, maybe a different technique is more suitable, and the playfulness that comes with that. I feel like when I first saw the show, if you weren't here on opening night, it was the place to be, but today is also the place to be, so congrats to you for being here. What I noticed right away was not only like a precision of craft and technique, but also which sort of illuminates like you all were really experimenting, right? But what I also saw was you all pushing printmaking techniques, which is really exciting in the span of 9 months. We have mixed media, we have soap sculptures, we have braids that are used as like printmaking techniques. We have the pressure print with the trumpet. We also have like really abstract work that I would not typically associate with printmaking. And this sort of layering that I feel is really bold to be able to do in a matter of 9 months. So I'm hoping that you all can walk us through a moment, a threshold moment that happened over the course of 9 months. So one moment that you can think of that sort of unlocks something for you in your brain where you realize, oh, I'm more at home here. The world just opened up a little, and you felt yourself journeying on this path of not only learning the technique, but pushing the printmaking techniques forward.
I can speak to what I did with monoprinting and the collagraph printing. So I knew off rip that I wanted to do a Baroque frame. I knew that was what I wanted to really challenge the very Eurocentric, the very whiteness around Baroque art. And the way I saw it was, I knew I wanted to do it with braids. And how would I then translate this stamp that I made onto paper? And I thought that I wanted to emboss the paper with the frame. But learning monoprinting and how I could get a photographic shadow-esque image that was, and we had just experimented and fell into it, and it unlocked so much more than what I initially thought that I wanted and that I could do. If you get a chance to, if you just go up and look at it, you can see the little details of each piece of hair and everything just taken, just beautiful. I eat that. That's I would say. And then learning collagraph, and I thought it was just relief printing, and then Michael was like, girl, no, that's collagraph. And how I created these matrices, and because I didn't have a lot. I had a lot of time, but procrastination station. So I had to do the best I could with what I got, with what I had. And I'm like, I got a bunch of braiding hair at home. I know that this mind can create so much with so little. And that's what I did. And that's what really, those parts really unlocked something for me. So yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it was kind of important to understand what's possible or what the limitations are of each maybe medium or practice. So I did a mono printing workshop with Lisa, and that was super helpful because it helped me get my print started, but I was able to understand that the plan I had could work, and that was probably one of the major coming home moments. And I think there's a lot of oh, this isn't gonna work moments as well. So originally when I started this work, I had wanted to do woodcuts, and then I was like, that's gonna take forever. I started doing, because I think we were doing woodcuts for one of the workshops, and or an assignment, and it was cool, but I was to do it at that scale and to do a lot of them, I just wasn't feeling. So then I was like, well, maybe I can carve it into plexiglass, and I printed that, but I didn't like the line quality, so I switched to screen printing. So I think it's all the little things coming together well, but also having a larger vision for how you want things to turn out.
I think the moment my project kind of clicked with me, I've always had a very kind of dormant love for Arabic calligraphy and a desire to do something for it. I just never knew what that would be. And there was a day that we were in here, and Michael was showing us some tools. Never mind that. And I was looking at the packaging for some of these tools. I think it was sharpening compound or something, and just noticing that they have the packaging themselves have these really beautiful old-timey kind of logos and designs on them. And then my next trip to the Arabic store, I just became aware of all the logos and designs and packaging around me. And I'm like, oh my God, printmaking is everywhere. Arabic calligraphy is everywhere. So that was the moment I'm like, now I know it. Now I know where I want to go with this and what I want to do.
Yeah, I think for me it was the first workshop we had with Wendy. when she taught us how to clean the letterpress machine. And I was like, oh, this is labor intensive. This is not gonna be like, you know, you throw 8-bar freestyle on it and just call it a day. And that kind of settled me down, actually. That kind of made me focus in on, okay, what can I master about this technique today? And I started to spend more time here, and I just was here all the time. And I just try to get faster cleaning. Try to like, okay, let's actually use the ruler instead of just eyeing everything, you know. And let's follow the steps. And I started to fall in love with the steps. And I think that moment of realizing, well, if you don't clean this properly in a community shop, the next person that gets to use it has to clean up after you. And they can't get started. And maybe they've been working 45 hours of that week and they only have this little bit of time to do their artwork. And if you didn't clean that machine properly, they got to stop, clean off of you, and then do their work. And like just that, the weight of that really kind of like focused me in on letting go of some of the expectations and kind of just, okay, I want to just be a good shop person. Like I want all the old people that have memberships to be like, you know, he's cool. I like him. I'll show him some stuff. You know, I wanted to have that energy to it, and I think that really like made my project easy. Because I knew I could get some concepts together. I got concepts for days. You know, it wasn't about concept, but it's like respecting the medium and knowing that what you're going to do today, what you're going to print is not going to be a master print. No, it's not. You know, you just don't have the technique yet. And it may take you your whole rest of your life for you to look at something and be like, whoa, that was true mastery. But can you respect the legacy of it and the techniques and bring your flavor to it and show and be humble from that point of view? That's was the best part of it, you know.
I probably have to say for me, the eye-opening moment that you mentioned was just the work I was doing with my daughter. Outside of those 3 pieces, we actually had our own whole exhibition somewhere else for about a month in late fall of last year, and like being able to do that with her was just really it's no word like I could really like express that. She's not here tonight because she's a dancer and her schedule is like super packed, but that was probably like the turning point. Like when we first got the fellowship, I was here almost as much as I could be, but being a father and running my own business and working a 9 to 5, it was just like really hard. So like it kind of tapered off, and I'm beating myself up like, you know, this opportunity in a year won't be there, and you won't have, you know, this access that you have now, like obviously without a cost essentially. So just trying to really maximize on it, and exactly what R.A. said, you just have to like kind of like stop beating yourself up and realize like, hey, whatever you can create in the time that you have, know that you did good with that. Don't look at like, I could have did this, I could have did that, because in the beginning, any moment I had, I was here. So I would say that was like the eye-opener of just appreciating what I'm able to create, and then the things that I did with her, like I said, that was really special.
For me, I remember I was sitting at the table with Michael and Ben, and I just finished my first lithography print. And I remember thinking, it just looks like a pencil drawing. And at the time, I remember thinking about, oh, maybe I could put some words or text on it, and talking about how I love color and the way that color affects the way that we like view things or our moods. And Ben was like, oh, let's try some color. Just like let's just go to the table over there. And he was mixing this beautiful gradient and just put a little tiny box on top of it. And I loved the way that it looked. And I think from that point, I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna experiment and sketch what I want the other pieces to look like and the different gradients and color.
I'm wondering if each of you could talk about a print in the show or a piece in the show that you feel like maybe is sort of your riskiest piece, or perhaps the piece that you're most proud of.
I know the two pieces of mine that I am the most proud of are the ones of my aunt and my mother. Can somebody give me a tissue, please? My apologies.
No apologies needed.
That's all you needed to do. You know what's up now.
It's so funny, it reminds me of when I was a kid and my auntie was getting us ready to finish Easter speeches. And we were young, and I think this was our first Easter. And she was like, don't get up there crying. And I told myself, before I got here, girl, don't get up here crying. But through this process, I have an aunt, and my aunt transitioned in January. And I knew for a fact that I wanted to do a piece about my auntie. And I know that I wanted to do one about my mother because it was like this. And those pieces are so near and dear to me because it reminds me of my great aunt, her home in Chagrin Falls Park, and how she had all of her walls covered, pictures of all of us, and paying homage to each and every one of us, no matter if we were her great, doesn't matter, and that's what those two were. And we had, my aunt had these my great aunt Linda, she had these like the most beautiful frames, and I wanted to emulate that, and I wanted to put pieces of my auntie and my mom because they are so important to my process as a person and as a creative. Like my aunt, like when I tell you my auntie Lisa was one of the most creative people that I have met in this time. And she pushed me further to be the greatest person and the greatest creative that I could possibly be. And those were the two. They're called Two Most Wanted after the Beyonce song. So, and the two is Gemini Bliss because they're both Geminis. May and June Geminis. And those are the two I'm most proud of, for sure.
The two pieces I'm most proud of are the two pieces that sit right in the middle, so it's just ironic that, you know, that was where they ended up getting placed, and I was thankful for that. It's so crazy to me that there's so much overlap between Anastasia and I and our work and kind of the meaning behind the work. As I share all of this work, aside from the pieces that I did with my daughter that don't necessarily fit into the story, but I thought they were special, all speak to my childhood, and that corner store is a corner store that still stands, that I went to many days with my aunt that was like another mother to me. And that house, as I mentioned, is my grandmother's house that at some point everybody, all of her children lived there. That attic was a space where my uncle lived, my father lived. That second story is where my aunt always lived until she moved to Euclid when I was like 10 years old. She hasn't transitioned yet, but it's happening any day. She's not doing well at all. And the whole time that I was in this residency is when she started to decline, and she's in an assisted living facility. And I was already making a lot of like communal pieces for like a mixed media exhibition that I had, but I wanted to hone in on this because, like I said, I've done a bunch of different stuff, and I'm like, it doesn't make sense if you just have all of these different things. Like, what is the message that you want to tell? And, you know, I was grieving as I'm making a lot of these things, and it's just so crazy to hear that, you know, we're essentially creating a lot of these things for the same reason and having a lot of the same feelings, and you really don't even know it. And outside of the story behind it, these two pieces gave me the most trouble. I've made these in so many different variations, and literally the biggest one was the last piece I think I made with Michael, and I made some additions to that, but I started making a smaller version maybe back in like December, and the layering didn't turn out right. I made a version in RISO, and I'm like, it's okay, but I knew it really wasn't what I wanted. I made the canvas piece when I was in right before Thanksgiving, and Anastasia was so nice to give me the chair with the back. I have a terrible back, like it's in shambles, and I was in here in tremendous pain. But again, any moment that I had, I'm like, I'm off of work for these few days. I'm like, you know, my kids don't have any activities because it's the holiday. I can be here till 10, 11 o'clock. I was here super late. The only time that I've ever kind of didn't follow all of the steps, and Mike reached out to me like, hey man, you left some stuff like really messed up. And I was like embarrassed. I'm like, man, I was in so much pain that I left a screen with paint on it. So it was a story behind these pieces, and like the work that I did, and just how they eventually like came about. I spent a lot of time in different versions of both of those, and they're special to me on so many different levels, from the story to the work that's behind them. Like, it's probably like 3 different variations of each one of those up there, so I'm proud that that was what finally came out.
I think for me, I guess like my favorite are the first 2, and then like as I continue making them, that's kind of like what I was trying to emulate, but then like it kind of worked, and then I had to take more risk. So like over time, as I was creating more prints, like other smaller things started to go wrong, like ripping the paper, or like too much ink, or like, yo, you messed up the pressure. And so it was really interesting to keep track of like those little like inconsistencies going along. To being here at night alone, hella scary, because like you like working, you got the AirPods in, and then you like hear something, you like, what was that? You know, but it was a lot of late nights, and it was cool. Everyone here was super friendly and able to make it happen. And I think even like Ryan was saying, you know, we're all busy in our day to day, so sometimes things like coming here after work, or like Ubering food here, you know. So for me, it was really important to also think about, okay, like I'm gonna come in from this time to this time, and I'm just gonna make the colors that I need, and then I'm gonna come in later to do the actual printing, or, you know, that way I'm segmenting my time right. But I'm really proud of everything. This isn't the work that I thought I would end up making, but in the same way, it kind of turned out better than I could have hoped. So I'm just grateful for the experience.
I think the thing I'm most proud of is less any one particular piece and more so the kind of outcome of the work. So I guess I should probably say what it is. So my installation is a series of large-scale ceramic sculptures of different bars of olive oil soap from different Arab countries, from Syria, Palestine, and Lebanon. There was another from Jordan that didn't make the cut, but and those stamps that I used to stamp into the clay are original emblems of these soap factories that are still in operation, some after hundreds of years. And so the desire to make this work came from a really like literally, I know this word is like thrown around, but an ancestral relationship that Arabs have with olive oil and olive oil production, and how many attempts have been made by colonizers to snuff that out, and how it continues to this day. And so going to the Arabic stores has been a kind of universally, I think, comforting experience for a lot of us, just to be around familiar sights and smells. And so, in doing this, I'm like processing all these feelings, but then the night of the opening, I had like a caravan full of Arab American friends from Detroit come to see the show, which was so sweet. And they all just had, like, seeing how strong of a response they all had to this work, like, really validated why I wanted to do it. I had a Lebanese friend whose family back at home actually makes olive oil soap themselves, and she just, like, could not stop holding the bar of soap the entire night. And so that shared comfort was really special.
I want to piggyback off of that because, like, what I wanted really was for people to come and see themselves and see their family, right, when they came and seen my work. And there was just a preservation of culture that I wanted to have because people like to take. And I just wanted to give memories and love through what I was doing. And historically, braids, like when they were braided in hair, they were used as maps. And that's what it is when you see like the crazy formations and designs. That's what it was, because I wanted to reclaim something and also show love so people could see themselves.
And something special about the cohort was how much we all, like, you can see how all of these themes are really, like, deeply personal, and there's a lot of overlap in everything we were exploring. So we really connected so strongly in the development of all of our projects.
I would say, like, I remember Leila and I had a conversation where we have such a kindredness, and me and Ryan had a conversation about it too, where we were talking about remembrance of our people and of culture in a very beautiful way, and not in something that would traumatize us while talking about it and while making it artsy, but just being real about it, and really just giving love, because that's like the universal language when it comes at the end of the day. So
Yes.
Yeah, let me actually piggyback off that, because I think that with residencies, fellowships, art opportunities that are focused on BIPOC creatives, or just people, Black people, people of color who are creating, there's this grappling that happens between sort of honoring identity, honoring race, honoring ancestors, and then also representing race, representing culture for people who may or may not share that. So I'm wondering if there were moments in putting together your body of work where you were also grappling with those questions, and how did you push through that or think about that?
I'll start it off. For me, I would say it was easy because this is not, the first exhibition I've had, and all of my work from the very beginning essentially has always been rooted around culture. Like, my prized possession to date, or prized body of work, is called Sincerely Us, and that's exactly what I meant. And it was at the Museum of Contemporary Art, so a pretty big institution, and I wanted these people that came in there, if you're not a part of our culture, like, one of my best pieces and biggest pieces is a picture of my daughter getting her hair done by her mom, and that whole relationship between a black girl and her mom. And as a father and as a husband, I see this every 3 weeks, and for me it was almost like, oh, here they go again. Like, you know, she was 5 years younger 6 years younger at the time when I did this, and they were always fighting because she wouldn't sit. Anastasia knows all about it. You wouldn't sit still, and all of those different things. So for me, it was almost like something that was once like traumatic, or like, let me get out of here for a couple hours. This one time, I decided to go grab my camera, and without venturing off, all I'm saying is documenting those little things, or like, you know, it's the intention behind it, like do-rags and all of these different minor things in our culture. It's like, to me, I think they're beautiful, and I want people to understand, like, yeah, a white person may not know anything about a can of Murray's, but I want to show you when you come into this exhibition, like, no, this is a staple in the black community, and for us, when we see it, it's traumatizing. As I don't know about women, but as a boy, we can't wash it out. Murray stays in for weeks. But so it was never a problem for me to highlight this, because that's what I do, and that's literally anytime I pick up a camera, like, not that that's the only thing I shoot, but if it's not for something basically that's for hire, I'm not like a nature photography, like, that's what speaks to me. Like those little boys with a super soaker, that's a mixed media piece where I actually blended a bunch of different faces of black boys over the years that I've worked with in photography. But it started out as they were two actual, you know, black boys, my son and his friend, standing in our driveway with the super soaker, and that spoke to me because I remember being a kid when the super soakers first came out. And so it's just all in blending these different things together. But no, I'm never embarrassed about it. I'm never scared. I do think it's your intention behind it. Like, I know different people that, you know, showcase a lot of like the nightlife and the strip club. That's somebody's reality. Like, so I don't think like that's embarrassing. You shouldn't show that. Like, no, that's somebody's reality, and that's somebody's step to wherever they're trying to get in life. So it's not porn. Like, you know, like you're showing it in a tasteful way, but this is really somebody's life, and if that's, you know, where you spend a lot of your time, then that might actually speak to you. So it's really just the intention, you know, behind it, like, in what you're doing. And if the intentions are pure, somebody might not appreciate it, and that's totally fine, but you know why you did it. And our culture is, I think, always going to be proud when we see that, if we understand it. So.
A lot of assumptions get made in all this kind of like rabble-rousing. And it's very important to, like, you come into the conversation where you come in. So I appreciate when the organization is being intentful and being like, hey, by the way, just so you know, we invite you here, and they make an effort, you know. It's important to have those efforts. So, you know, wherever you are within that journey as an artist, you kind of like have to, like, you know, put that aside. My politics about it are not necessarily going to serve the greater good of the program. But I can highlight a few things, and I can also like use my work to kind of like play there. And you know, I think it's an interesting thing, because I think on both sides, I think black people assume that you can't go someplace, but we also have empirical data that we can't go there. You know, and brown people have these, you know, black and brown bodies have this trauma. And even if you were invited, someone in your line wasn't, so that genetic memory starts to bubble up and you don't feel comfortable. So I've always been like, shit, I'm going. I'm going up in there. And that's where I go. And then you have black folks, because you go there, being like, you talk white, or you white, or you align yourself to white folk. And so the identity thing is real, it's just a dicey move, because it's using this shit to steal the cheese. Fred Hampton told y'all motherfuckers that a long time ago. I win. But Fred Hampton told us a long time ago, capitalism is used as an excuse for racism. You know, racism is an excuse for capitalism. I mean, so that's what's going on, and it's frustrating to me to be caught in those kind of like conversations. But as what you realize is that like by just participating from where you are, don't assume malice, don't browbeat a perspective. You can help translate. You can be a lexiconic translator in these spaces. So yeah, that's the things I was thinking about. Because I normally wouldn't even, in Cleveland, because there's very few opportunities, and it's getting better now. But 30 years ago when I first started doing art in public, it wasn't a lot of space. So, and frankly, the curators and organizations were lazy. So once they knew your name, they just call you for everything. I mean, that's how I got to DJ the first time. Oh, you like music? You want to DJ? That's how I got to make a short film. I got to make a play with a real budget and lights and shit. First time. Because the organization knew who I was. And so you start curating yourself, self-curating, so that you're not taking up space so other people can rock and work. And you have to be really cognizant of that. So it's like that BIPOC call is essential to that first level of pushing some of this shit back, okay? And then when we get in there, to not feel a reaction or make an assumption on both sides of it and just do your work. And then it'll all shake out, because I saw somebody's, and I don't want to go too long, but I saw somebody made like a video of the exhibit and posted it on Instagram, and they tagged everybody. They had it, and you could tell what they liked. It's their video. And I'm watching. I'm like, oh yeah, everybody like all this shit. And it was time to show something over on this side of the wall. They showed everything else. And they showed the screen print of the photograph of the tape deck, which was a legible image. It was cleanly done, it's legible, it's very, I know what that is. That can be recognized as a piece of art. They showed that, got out. That doesn't mean that they hated my work. We resonate, it's all subjective, so we resonate with what resonates with us, right? And so that's what's cool about the cohort. Because like, I don't have to worry about what John or Ryan or Thao or Anastasia or Leila are doing, because I know they're gonna do it. Whatever they're doing, they're gonna do it. They're not gonna I'm not gonna be embarrassed to be with them. They're so talented. So now I can do whatever I want. And that's why I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna extend a little bit, because I can do whatever I want. There's gonna be some truly like, that's beautiful. I would hang that in my house. And there's gonna be some things that are soul wrenching and well done and so pristinely like conceptual, like that stuff. It's so pristinely conceptual, you wanna own the whole body of work, but you can't. It's beyond you. It sits, and you can see that kind of work at Prospect, the biennial in New Orleans. You can see that kind of work in museums. You can see this shit in museums. So like that BIPOC, don't get it twisted when you see that word in other organizations. It might not mean what you think it means. And there's an implicit bias to using it in the way that we think about it. Well, the fuck you talking about? I don't work for nobody. I'm an artist. I get my money from art. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not like I'm a marginalized voice, but not here in this place. You know what I mean? Like I can shoot my shot whenever I want. And so like, there's assumptions that get made with that shit, and we don't have enough time to dig into it and get the nuance. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's like, you know?
I feel like you brought up a few things which I think the importance of a cohort just stuck out to me. That you all can be in conversation with one another, holding each other down, and also that throughout this process, it seems that by some way of miracle, you all came at this creative process from a place of abundance, generosity, and honoring that isn't always the case. And so what a beautiful space to be in and create from. Wanted to open it up. Did anyone else want to touch on? Yeah,
and going off what you said, I also think there's this idea of like the artifact has to have these qualities to belong in the culture, right? Instead of thinking about, as a practitioner, I exist in this culture, so what I create also will. So I'm not really worried about whether what I'm making or not fits into blackness or fits into masculinity or whatever. I'm here to learn the techniques and make a body of work. And whatever else it will be after that is because of who I am as a practitioner and not what the artifact itself means, right? So I think, and that's really how you free yourself up to just do the work, and you can let things come to you as you're working. So that's how you can help develop the concept.
That's a good point.
For me, I always walk really proud and know who and what I am and what I need to do when it comes to however I move in this world. And I look at whatever I make as an extension of that. Like, that label, I don't want to say the label because I want to be very intentional with how I speak when discussing diverse groups of folks making things together. Because at the end of the day, I am Black. But I am a part of, you know, I guess I am a BIPOC too. But I just wanted my work to look like and feel like and be me at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, who am I? What am I? And that's just what it is. I feel like you can look at it and tell. I don't feel like I need to prove anything to anyone about who or what it is. Because you can look at it and see. And that's all.
I think, I don't know how I'm doing on time, but I do also want to put the seed in your brain. I don't know if that sounds right. Whatever the phrase is, for you to start thinking of your own questions, because perhaps the audience has questions. Okay, what I want to ask next is, what's an area of your practice that you're currently still excited to learn or grow in? You know, obviously the fellowship has come to a close, but the creative ideas and energy is still flowing. So what are some of the things that you're still hoping to learn and excited to pursue?
I can speak to that. So, recently I went to the art museum for a lecture with Richard Howell. Which one was it? Richard Howell. and he was showing us work by Elizabeth Catlett. Elizabeth Catlett, she is OG sculptor, printmaker extraordinaire, fabulous. And she was screen printing on aluminum foil. And I want to do that. That's next. Really. Like, that's all I can really say. That's next.
That's a great idea.
I would love to do more like lino cuts. That's something that's kind of been on my list because you are able to kind of, like, I created those at home. You obviously have to, you know, put them on a press, but that's something that I was definitely drawn to and I fought to have more time for, but it's never enough time in a day. So I think that is kind of something that's high on my list. Again, whenever I can get the opportunity to jump back on the press, I will. But those would be the two things that I definitely want to do more of. Obviously, screen printing is screen printing. I'm naturally going to do that, but it's something that I already, again, understood the technique about, so it's not really something new for me.
I am excited to collaborate with these two people, with John and also Anastasia. Like, we have talked about doing
we
some,
could do that.
the huge dragon, and just talking about that is exciting, and then us combining two art prints that we did previously, like a few months ago, and then
A year ago.
Oh,
that's crazy. Yeah, but seeing how they actually really match, and we didn't intend that until now.
I have two kind of separate but concurrent things. One that I would like to do more and explore further is just how my work can be like an educational tool as it relates to boycotting education and the efficacy of boycotting certain brands and companies that are responsible for the hellfire and that our planet is in right now, and that support the military complex, industrial complex. And another thing, if I can shamelessly self-promote, I have a residency coming up at Spaces. And my collaborator on the residency is George Harp, sitting over there. Sorry to bring up. And George is an archivist. I have always wanted to collaborate with an archivist, just like out of principle, and we're gonna be doing a photo show of enlarged Palestinian family photographs that George has been archiving from his family for multiple generations. So that's something that I have always kind of dreamed of that is coming into fruition soon. And that'll be in June 6th. June 27th is the opening day.
I think, all right, shoot. I know that I want to do some really large work. So like when I first did these, I wanted to be like 3 by 8 foot, and as a woodcut, and I was like, yeah, no. So I want to see if I can revisit that. But something I learned through Ben and Michael is that there was an artist that did kind of like food-based prints, and I would really love to give that a try for specific restaurants, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to diving in and just honing in on my technique. Because there will be little moments where on the paper, what is that little mark? Oh man, I forgot to wipe that corner. Oh, I didn't set this right. Oh, it's not pristine. I needed the stamp to be perfect, you know. So there's some things that I'm working on technically. That's pretty much where my brain is now. In the last, I think I'm around in third in my journey. But so like I want to really just get my techniques down, like, and keep that same energy around like the process. Like, if I love the processes of all the art forms that I've been blessed to use, I love the processes so much, and just turning that into a prayer, because I feel like that is going to be the ultimate, that's going to be the moment where I can ascend, because I'm the oldest male person in my family now. So that's when I will ascend to actually being an elder in my family, when I can get rid of my relationship to Western concepts of ambition. Once that happens, and I think the process is where, like, falling in love with the process and keeping that prayerful kind of like relationship to it and keeping it fresh, and you're learning new things and always challenging that is what's going to get me there. I'm really excited about it. I'm so tired of my fucking face and my relationship to ambition. It's never served me really, and yeah. So this place, because there's so many little details in the cleaning. You have to be down for it, yo. You gotta be down for the process, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds humbling, and also what a special place to be in community with other people. I feel like sometimes we have the idea of an artist as someone lonely working in a corner or some place in the woods, and yeah, like you have to clean because the next person is coming in, and you're in relationship with other people. It's so important to have spaces like this right now, especially. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to the audience in a second, but first I want to hear from each of you, and this might get personal, so feel free to take it however you want. But I want you to really reflect on this process, and I want to hear from each of you something that you learned about yourself.
So,
You got it.
so through this process from start to finish, the first few months, I was just in the process of I just wanted to learn and to just know. And towards the end of the year, something switched. My aunt, her health started to decline. And that's when I really knew that I wanted to do work that was more personal than anything else. But I didn't know how I was gonna execute and how I was gonna do it. And it really wasn't until she had transitioned and that I really, really figured out what I was going to do. Because also I did braids. My auntie was a family braider. So we all have been in that process that Ryan was talking about. And I knew, and I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how I would be able to do it while going through such immense grief. Like, I want to say it was crippling, but I had enough time to play The Sims, child. So I knew that I literally had to get off of my ass and get in the field. Because I knew that if my aunt was here, she'd be like, girl, what are you doing? You're just wasting away playing a game when you have such this amazing opportunity to make some things so people can see. And I did it for that, but I mostly did it for myself. This is the first time I've ever have taken a foray into doing anything artsy-fartsy for myself, through myself, my own creative thoughts. The first time I started and finished it. And I don't know, I already said this, but I did that. And it was, I really did it for me and for them and for Black folks, really. Because like I knew that if I was celebrating myself, I was celebrating us. And it just taught me that I can do anything. Like, ain't nothing stopping me. If I can do this while going through grief of losing somebody who means so much to me, I can do whatever, whenever, however. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, like, I think there were certain steps where you realize, like, oh, I've changed as a person, right? And so I think, like, I might have been, like, flattening my prints, and I was like, I just kind of, like, took a moment to be like, oh, I'm, like, really done. And, like, I was reflecting, like, through my graduate career in design and, like, learning graphic design and then all the way back to art school. And I was just like, when did I become the person that, like, finished their work before, like, critique? I was like, you know, like, this is cool, and it's like, I wish I could have been able to experience this, like, maybe earlier. But it was like really nice to be like, nice, like, good job, John. Like, you did what you did, you followed the plan, you've had some distractions, but like you completed what you set out to do. I think that felt really good. Because like it's about the process, but at the end of the day, there has to be something to show for it, and just be able to have something so cohesive. And it wasn't done alone. Like all the people up here were always really helpful, you know, because when you come in, you're never really alone. There's always somebody else here, and like you're not always gonna know that other person, but like maybe you need help, so you have to be like, hey, have you seen that shopping? Or like, is this the right roller? Or Anastasia, like, can you help me figure out how to wash the screen out? So nothing is done alone, and I'm just really grateful for the experience, for Michael, Jackie, Lisa, everybody here, all the artists and people that visit, because those people become community when you like need something, or maybe they need something and you're available, right?
I would probably say the biggest thing I learned throughout the residency was midway through it, just realizing like you're not in control. Like when I again, got it, I'm like those first couple months, I'm like I'm any moment I have, I'm in here, and then like life happened. Like, you know, it's just so many different things going on in life, and it was just like you couldn't be here, and then you're upset with yourself that you're not here. Like the first time that it went by and there was maybe weeks or a month and I hadn't been here, I'm like, oh my God, like I was like so upset with myself. But you're not in control. Like you're gonna go into it and thinking I'm gonna do this, and this, and you gotta just like ride the waves as you get them. Like it's great to look back and see how a lot of this stuff turned out. Like the bulk of a lot of these pieces, I made a lot of those like prints using the letterpress very early on in our fellowship, and I knew I wanted to use them, but because I did so much stuff, I literally forgot about it. They were in my flat file, and you know, once I finally like took some stuff out and looked, I'm like, you did want to use these. I'm like, oh, you should do this or you should do that. So everything happens when it's supposed to, but you're not in control.
Yeah.
It's the journey.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like, I had nights where like I would be in bed and like I knew I didn't go to Zygote that day. I would not sleep. I would just keep getting up. Like it's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. and it's like, I gotta go to work the next day. And I'm just like, oh, I should have gone to Zygote. But then you get in and you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad, right? So it's just like.
Or to talk about you getting in, and that was one of the things I learned, that I don't want to say waste, but that you waste the time. If you come down here and you don't know exactly what you want to do, or you don't have a solid plan, like part of being an artist is just trying things. But there was so many hours I spent, I don't want to say wasted. I have the work, I don't know, where it may go, but at a certain point I felt like you wasted this time because you didn't plan this properly, and the print didn't turn out right, the layering is off, and ultimately you're not proud of this and you're not going to use it. And yeah, you were there, you invested half of your Saturday, like you checked the box of I was there, but so I realized that like if you didn't plan it, it was also a waste, so you might as well not have been there. And then once you start really planning, like this is what I'm gonna do. If I need it this size, I have to go to Kinko's first, or how am I gonna, like you have to think of so many things. And in the beginning I was just here, and it's like, well, I'm gonna use what I can and create, but it works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and to go off that, like that's how I started planning, because like things go wrong, you're like, okay, let me adjust this, right? But I also think like as you practice, you start to learn, okay, like doing 5 iterations of this is gonna take me like 3.5 hours, so I can budget how much time I need to be here for it. Or like mixing colors maybe takes like 2 hours, like colors and cleanup. Oh my God, like, you're here at like 1 a.m. like trying to mix colors or clean something. But
Cleanup.
Yeah, cleanup is real. But like it's a community space, and it's I think it's part of doing the right thing and being prepared.
Yeah.
But as you start to do those things, you feel better and better each time you come in, because it just becomes more streamlined and refined over time. So it's like, yeah, you have those days where you wish you could have been here, or like you could have slept better if you would have went in. But as you go, just get started and it'll start to dial in.
I like what you both mentioned about like having these beautiful lessons and just having to like let go after putting a ton of work into something, and also working iteratively. I feel like was super like I took away. I feel like we were here for, again, like 9 months together, 9+ months. So much life change happened in that amount of time, and I think it's like remarkable to have found as much inspiration as we did. And you know, like part of that is also being in slumps and like fucking up, and this was just like a very like charitable and forgiving space to be able to do that and bring us closer to what we ended up like doing a beautiful job in pulling off. So.
I have a bad habit of buying paper. So like I have so much paper. I keep some of the paper at Outlandish Press. And please can I keep some of this paper that I bought for no reason here? And I just love buying paper. And I love paper so much. So the thing that I learned, the biggest takeaway for Zygote for me is that while I'm always going to have a membership here, I will do labor in exchange for a flat file, and I can always print something because I have so much paper. I always get something. I got a lot of paper,
I'll say community too. Like there were so many times me and Thao were
Like especially in the last few weeks, I think that bond and hardships that you're going through, it's like you're not alone.
Yeah.
And like you can lean on other people, ask for help. Like as everyone mentioned, it's a really supportive community.
great. Like me and Thao were oh my goodness, we were up in here. She would be doing her prints because hers were more labor intensive than what I was doing, and she was doing one thing and I was helping her clean up. You know what I'm saying? And she'd be super tired because she did all of this. I'm like, girl, I got you. I can help you with that. And vice versa. Like it was always, we were here together most of the time. And we were always there to like encourage the other. You need something to eat. Like that's how we were, just making sure we were fed, hydrated, and supported. So, yeah.
Shout out to the interns. So.
Yeah.
I got a whole crew of new homies. Because I want to go to the future. So if you're younger than me and I don't know you, please get to know me. I want to make sure I go to the future. You know, so interns are important, but I mean they're so talented and just getting to know them, and they were very helpful. Like I had so much intern help. Like I dig myself into a hole, somebody help me clean up. Dig myself into this hole, and somebody help me. You know, and it's like it's very, very cool. You guys pick good interns. As an aside, you got to make sure they eat better. There's not enough intern snacks. I bought snacks for them a couple times. You know, gotta take care of these cats, yo.
A little bit of program feedback, I'm sure we can work on. Want to open it up now to the audience. If folks, you know, we've been talking for a while now. If folks have questions, things that are brewing in their minds,
Hello. So I don't have a question, more of a statement. So one, I just want to say thank you guys, thank all of you. I think you were amazing. I think your artwork is amazing and speaks for itself.
You're welcome.
Honestly, you guys were more, when I thought I was coming in today, but you were more vulnerable than I thought and more open than I expected. So thank you for just sharing yourself with us, both through your art and through your works. R.A., I don't know you, but I love you. And you're just so, I've talked about so much during your interview. You pulled out a cigarette and started smoking, and it like blew me. And I was just like, I've just never, you were just so open with the space, and you're also open with the space. So hearing you guys speak about just how comfortable you are in here just makes me happy, and feels like Jackie, Zygote, and the rest of the staff are just doing what they said they're doing. So I just want to say thank you. I don't have a question. Just appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Just so you know, that was on Zoom. I up in the spot. Relax. Relax. You go soon. It's in my own house.
I have a question. All of you seem to be so cohesive together, and I wanted to, my question is, did you all know each other before you came to do this experience? Did any of you know each other before this?
I did not.
I only knew him.
I think I knew Anastasia and I kind of knew Thao.
Yeah.
So
I only know Ra, and I only knew Ra, and I only knew John, and that's it. I knew of Leila. And it was so funny because the day that they announced everything, I went up to Thao at the Asian festival. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, "Hey, bro, we in a cohort together." She's like, "Wait, what? Oh, hi!" So yeah.
yeah, but I think we all became friends for the most part during this, because it's just like, yo, how's your day going? Or like, hey, what's going on? You know,
We spent so much time together.
yeah, it's just being people around each other. I think you grow closer together. during
Being
something like
here
this.
in the summer together, you have to be friends. 'Cause
It's hot.
hot is an understatement.
We would get really silly on the weekends. We would have workshops during the weekend, and I think Michael liked us. I asked him at one point, I'm like, do we exhaust you? No.
Yeah, so if you are interested in doing this fellowship, and if you get a Gatorade. I'm so serious. It gets hot.
Dress accordingly.
That part.
Or cold. Yeah.
Or cold, yeah.
I wouldn't be cold. I would be in here like.
So it does seem like you guys coalesced as a group really well. How did you influence each other's work? Like you've all talked very personally about your work, but how did you influence each other's work?
I would definitely say, Leila, like when we had that initial conversation about remembrance, and it's another word, like really preserving culture, because like I said before, they'd be trying to act like we're not here, like we never existed, and they're trying to stamp us out. And how she just like, she weaves the story of her culture, of Arab Americans and beyond, so beautifully. And it made me want to be even more intentional, a little bit more abstract. And like I said before, and put even more love into what I wanted to do. Because I would say Leila, and then also like Amber Ford, what she's doing with braids.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I take that and push it forward? And then looking at what Ryan did at, what's that place on the west side?
Heritage?
Nope. Yes. What he did there, and just trying to just weave the intricacies of my culture, of my love, and then also taking a little bit. Because even like what Thao talks about with the relief cuts that we're gonna put together, I saw what she was doing and I said, girl, we need to put that together. Because my quarry shell goes very well with her waves. And it just shows you the how we meet in the middle and dance all night. But yeah.
Yeah, the exact same effect on me.
Thao, can you talk a little bit more about the subject matter of your work? And I know you talk about like when you decided to coloring your work, but I don't think you really talk about like the subject matter, like the birds, and how you kind of came about like actually with that.
Yeah, I think birds for me have always been a huge symbol of like freedom and me as a bird being free in the sky. And I would say like 2024 was a huge year of growth for me as an individual, going through a lot of life things, job transitions, and just falling in love with art again and really experimenting. And I think if you're passionate about what you're making, that will show through. And this is like a reflection of that.
I remember back, I can't remember when it was, but I remember Thao talking about how she just wanted to get back into drawing because she's so behind the computer. And I think it speaks to community because I remember she was getting like super stressed out one day. I was like, remember when you said this, this, and that? She was like, oh yeah, girl, yes. And she, I know I'm not the moderator, but she just like, Thao just really immersed herself in playing with drawing again and playing with colors in a different way than what she usually does. Mm-hmm. And she created such beautiful work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tao's hand drawing skills are like 1 in every like 10,000. So we were all really encouraging. Oh we were all really encouraging because you were very humble about it, and still are.
Aaron had his hand up in the back.
Cortez also had his hand up, so he had his hand up a few times.
He did. He had his hand up way earlier.
I'm willing to go after him. No, real quick question. So as you trace your experience, what is some guiding words you would offer up to incoming cohorts?
Girl, ask some questions. Ask the questions. Ain't no such thing as a stupid question. Like, ask them. The amount of times I've asked Michael the same question 1,000,000 times, or if you're like curious about something, please just say it. Like, they will find a way. Michael will find a way, Brittany will find a way, whomever will find a way to make sure you know how to do it, how to possibly execute it, and they'll put you up with somebody who can help you and show you. And don't be afraid to take that leap. It's okay to mess up on a piece of paper. It's always more paper. Like, that's all I can. There's always more paper. There's always something to play with. And also, just have fun. It's not that deep. Like, just play.
Yeah, asking questions and being curious and playing around are like, it's to take like full advantage of it. Just, I would say like to take full advantage of that. If it's an opportunity to like have all of the fun things about being in school and none of the stress. So yeah, enjoy it.
I would think it's also good to have like a North Star as far as like something that's gonna keep you on task, whether it's like a goal and like an ambition, or maybe there's like another artist whose work you like what are the things that you can rely on to like set up a system for yourself? Because it is fun, like there's time to experiment, but like you're also like kind of on a deadline, so balance everything.
I'll also say to that too is like, play also like it informs like the next best thing.
Yep.
And like about like iterations, you'll just keep playing and making iterations of the same thing, but it's something to pick out of all of that. Don't get carried away, but just also have fun.
I would say learn about, not like by reading a book, but just kind of, there were artists I already knew about and I didn't know that, like, oh, this is a printmaking technique or that, and then you kind of gravitate towards things a little bit more because you're already familiar with them, but maybe familiarize yourself with some techniques that you like, so once you have the free time, you can kind of like, learn more about it. How I would say by doing that without making it like a chore is just really going to different exhibitions and, things like that, or actually, getting a book or something, because once you kind of also lock in on a few more techniques that maybe you didn't know about that you like, that can kind of really fuel you and get you going, and just be open-minded. There's gonna be some, like the way that it's structured now, where you're like, I don't have any interest in this. Like the same thing Anastasia said, like with the etching. I'm not a drawer, but I was actually able to lean on my daughter, and I took one of something that she made in the first grade, as I've been holding on to all of her artwork that she's made in her school journey, and I etched that, and that was one of the pieces that her and I had in our exhibition. So I get it. When the etching came up, I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do here, like draw a stick figure, like, but you know, just be open-minded, I would say is the biggest thing, and try to learn other techniques, and you'll appreciate them a lot more as you make them or as you decide to make them.
Divorce yourself from the physics of the artwork. What I mean by that is like how you occupy yourself and get into your industry. Let that shit go when you do this. Just, you know, just participate clean. Yeah, just without no preconceived notions of how this is gonna relate to this part of your career and all that careerism bullshit. Cause
That's gonna come.
it'll happen naturally, and then the old timers can sense it. They can sense it in the room, like, cause they're in there. They're like, I haven't sold a print in 32 years. I've been making this same lino cut or whatever. You know what I mean? And like, literally doing all the steps every third Wednesday for 4 hours. You know, cause they love it, and it's like, don't operate from that point of view. Like, I thought we was living in an abundance place in this town. We can let go of some of the scarcity mindset we operate in and start acting like, hey, this gonna be all right. We rocking, it's cool, let's rock, we rocking, it's all right. Yeah, that's what I would say.
My question was, I know we basically spoke about how you guys are interested in going on to just different facets of what's next for you guys. So I'm just curious, like after going through this experience, like do you guys feel like you're more maybe seeking out opportunities that would be maybe like residencies and stuff like that, or like based off of this experience, like do you feel like these kind of programs are your jam, or is there anything else kind of similar that you might want to align yourself with from like an artist opportunity standpoint?
Oh, I know for a fact that I'm gonna be doing more residencies and going for things and doing more workshops and learning, because I am not paying for school. And I know me, and I know the way I can move and get what I want, how I want. And I don't want to say manifest, but I have manifested fantastic opportunities for myself. And I will continue to do that. So within seeking them out and making it happen. Like, for instance, I have always wanted to DJ. Growing up, my daddy was a DJ, right? This past weekend, what did I do? I DJ'd. So it's like,
I like that.
Yeah, like I know that I'm gonna go out and go get. I already tasted what it's. I see what it feels like to get what I want. I ain't gonna stop.
Definitely. I've already applied for other residencies, not necessarily in printmaking, but like, again, with photography being my main medium, if it's something that aligns, basically, I'm all for it. Kind of like what Ari said, I don't want to be in the way. So it's not really like applying just to apply, but if it's something that makes sense, like same thing Anastasia just said, you gotta manifest it. Like, I knew I wanted this, and for anybody in here that does want it, even though it's only a few more days left, I had already submitted my application, but I was at the Artist Talk last year at the same time, and I was confident in what I submitted. And, it was just from the heart, like, really, why do you want this? And I believe that, the summer prior, me laying the groundwork of making screens in my garage and making my own light box to develop these screens, that, I had a legitimate cause for why I wanted to be here. So if you are someone that wants to be here, I would say take it seriously in your application. It's gonna be a lot of people. Don't BS around it. Don't make anything up. Like, I don't think they're looking for anything. We all are from totally different backgrounds, but just be serious about it and put the work in for it. And I also want to say, if you don't get it, because the residencies that I'm telling you about, there's things I've applied for that I didn't get, but again, I don't get upset because there's other opportunities that continue to come my way, and even when those don't, I remember when it was no opportunities. Biggest thing is you gotta just keep you gotta keep working, and you gotta keep putting the groundwork in, and as a mentor told me, and like I'm watching all of this happen right now, like now, you know, opportunities are coming to me. So you know, just keep working. To all of the artists in here or anybody, don't get discouraged, and the opportunities will come when you keep working at whatever that is. I'm not even talking about printmaking, just your art in general. People, the right people are going to start to notice, and the opportunities will start to come to you. And the city is, like Ari said, the art community is headed in a great direction. The Transformative Fund was obviously a huge step in that direction. So it's money out here, you know, for you to be able to do that and also be paid for your work. But just put the work in and don't get discouraged.
Like for me, this was great, and I would do another residency based off of this experience for sure. I'd really love to do this again, you know, like, no, I've never heard of that.
Two-time fellow.
Right. But I don't think they're gonna let me do that, number one. And number two, I think I just my main goal in doing this was to just get back into doing art. So I want to just take what I've learned and be able to just apply it in my life and just continue making art as an individual, or something comes up with a friend. So maybe like I'm doing less like client work or less freelancing and just more like artistic expressions or exploring. I think that's enough for me. And then if something like this comes up and I feel ready, or it's like necessary for me to learn a new skill, cool. But I want to take what I have and just see what else I can make in the meantime.
I also too want to say that on top of going out here and getting what I want, I also am really interested in helping other artists and showing them different things if they're interested in knowing, and guiding them to wherever I know, to whatever resources I can find. So I would say that too.
Yeah, that's something I'm excited for in the future, is just doing like more kind of skill sharing situations among peers and collaborations. This gave me a good taste of it.
I think this was good for this season, and now I'm ready to explore other art making. It was such a great experimentation, and now I feel that fulfillment that I can go pursue other things.
I think we have time for one more question if folks have it. Yeah.
So after working here on work that's personal and potent, how did you ground yourselves after leaving this container? Whether that's like each day or the week or even after today.
Lots of bubble tea, lots of milk tea, lots of Sims, lots of Sims, lots of, I want to say like movies, just like doing what like makes me feel good really, which is rotting behind my computer screen, eating like good food, having fun and spending time with like my family and my friends. Really, that's how I was able to ground myself through it.
And for me, it's grounding myself in the possibility and like that this installation can travel and have other homes, and just feeling inspired to get it out there again, like just having that like much pride in it. I'm like, where can this go next?
I had this saying, it's not a one-off, it's a career, you know. So I kind of treated everything like, I don't like to make compartments, because I think like, you know how on your desktop, when you got too many folders open, you got to print the folders, you know. So I like a clean desktop. I like all this to work in tandem. So when I'm leaving here, oh, okay. You know what I gotta do? I don't talk to the plants. I gotta dig this one out, put it in, I'm gonna make a beat. Oh, okay, cool. Let me check some correspondence. Oh, you know, I learned some things. Oh, I still got ink on my hands. Oh, I should mess with this painting. And so I'm just moving around my life in that kind of rhythm. I'm just bopping around, you know? And so I always feel pretty grounded. This space, if anything, I wanted to make sure that I didn't take up too much space. That was important. Like to not be, like, cause I have levels of where, you know, so like keep it kind of like here and like lean into them. Cause I love these cats,
I think I took what you said like the opposite of everybody. Like I'm listening to them like, oh, they left here and they went to like, you know, and it was like, you know, the fun things. And I'm like, it was the opposite. Like I was grounded here. Like this was the outlet. When I walked out of here, it was back to not necessarily a bad reality, but like, all right, I got to shoot at 1 o'clock. Like I can only be here till like, gotta clean. I really gotta be done by 11:30, and my whole life is 35 minutes from here, where my studio is at, where I live at. So it's a big commute. Like so, it was always a lot of planning and responding to emails and coming down here at some times when I could be flexible with my laptop for my 9 to 5. Like, all right, this meeting ends at this time. I can take this one from the car. It's Friday. Nobody's looking for me. I can do this or that. So it was, this bill is due, that bill is due. So I was grounded in here. When I got back out there, it was like, all right, like it's back to work, dad, and another job. So.
Yeah, and to go off what they both said, like I was in a very similar situation because like I was working my 9 to 5 here. Like I would have my laptop and I'd be like, yeah, we gotta make at least 10,000, you know, like. And so
I got it if nobody else.
Yeah, and it's like I still live close, but even like thinking about your day, like you know you're gonna spend like 4 to 5 hours here, like after work or during work, and so like you really do have to think ahead. And I think the best way for me personally to stay grounded was to really combine everything. So it's like, I'm not like John with my business life and John with my personal life and John here. I just have to be me throughout. So it's like, how do I make this a meaningful part of my day, part of my week, part of my month, part of my year, so that I can really live this experience how it was meant to be done. And it just becomes something to look forward to, I think, when you do it right, because you're building relationships here. So when you come in, like you may not feel like it, like we've all like kind of like gone home and like sat in the driveway and been like, oh my God. But when you get here and you get in and you see people, you're like, oh hey, like how are you? And it just starts to kind of like lift you up again. So I think part of it is creating a space for yourself here, which means building the right relationships, speaking to people, putting yourself out there, but also making sure that this is part of your larger world. Because it's not you go out here and you come in here. This is something that's always with me wherever I am.
I agree.
That's, yeah, I mean, I feel like you guys put it so well, so I don't have much to say.
Did we answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we have a little bit more time for folks to actually partake in the art and look around. I believe all the artists are sticking around, so if you have questions, you can also ask them. Thank you all for sharing just the process, also just being vulnerable and sharing everything that went into the process, not just the craft, but the content and the generosity of spirit is something that I feel very rooted in right now. I don't always feel that way in art spaces, and so I'm grateful for you all. And I'm grateful for Zygote to create this space, and I'm hopeful that more spaces can start to feel more like this. So,
thank you, Zygote.
Stand up, look around, buy art.
Right, don't worry with you, all right.
There's a back corner.